What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. And as usual, I have with me the smiling, the beautiful, the precious, the royal, the galactic hair crown queen herself. Please introduce yourself.
What's up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka
The
Health Nerd. And happy to be here on a Saturday afternoon, evening.
Yes, whatever time it is. Yes. And we're coming through. One, we're switching up a few things. All right, we're going to hop into the episode. But two things. One, I'm standing up because I feel like I stand up naturally whenever I present.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast is the only time I sit down. So I was like, Devon, what are you doing? Be you. Right? Stand up. We have the energy. So that's what we're doing. Secondly, we looked a little bit into the analytics. And according to the analytics, people want to know about the podcast as soon as possible. They want to get to the meat. They want to get to the knowledge. And we respect that. We listen to our audience. So we're going to dive right into today's episode, which is how hormones impact your life. Right? This is from metabolism, from building muscles to literally almost everything in your body.
Yep.
Hormones are back there kind of pulling the strings, doing the darn thing. All right. So I'm saying rhyme off the top. But Queen, you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
Are y'all ready to get into it? Cool. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. Yeah. PS4. Tell them. Yeah, we got
Hey.
Oh goodness. Don't give us any type of excuse to dance.
I don't need one.
At all. So throughout this episode, feel free to put your questions in the live chat that are going on. Feel free to drop them in the comments, whatever you got to do. We want to make this an active and engaging learning experience. But Queen.
King.
Appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I like the way that's up. But Professor the Health Nerd. I can cut Professor the Health Nerd. What are hormones? Basic level, in case people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What are hormones?
Hormones are basically they're like the chemical messengers that tell your body what to do. So if you think about like when you're kids and people used to pass notes.
Yes.
Pass a note to the cute girl or the cute guy or whatever.
No one ever passed me notes. I was a not too beautiful child.
I'm sorry. I didn't think I got any notes either.
You didn't get no notes?
I was a goody two-shoe. I was like, no.
So you refused the notes. You got them, but you were like a hormone inhibitor. You're like, nope. Nope.
Should have had a D8. Yeah. No. So yeah, they're basically like, if you think like they're like passing notes to different parts of your body. They tell your body what to do based on your surroundings, based on what's happening, based on just your own body and what time of day it is. You know, we've talked about circadian rhythms and things like that. There are certain things that your body knows to do based on environmental cues. For example, sunlight. When sunlight is out, your melatonin goes down, which we'll talk about later. And that really gets your body going.
Okay.
So yeah, they're basically like the messengers. They send like little chemical signals to the rest of your body that say like, hey, it's time to do this, or hey, it's time to do that, or hey, whoa, you see that? Let's slow down.
Got you.
Yeah.
So what I see in my head, I'm insane. I see in my head like traffic lights, stop signs, turn left, turn right, like literally signals in your body that are telling your body what to functionally do.
Yep.
Semi-accurate?
Yep.
Okay. Examples of, and if I'm skipping ahead, feel free to correct me at any time, Queen. But examples of hormones in our body and maybe what those different hormones are actually doing, what strings they pulling.
Yeah. So melatonin, I already mentioned, that's a hormone. That is really good for your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is basically, again, what your body knows to do based on environmental cues. For example, sun comes out, your skin realizes it registers that the sun is out. It feels that vitamin D, feels those sun rays, and it signals to the body, hey, releases melatonin, or it actually lowers melatonin. And that's when your body, there are certain cues that happen when that happens. So it's like a cause and effect. So, right. All right. sun is out, melatonin, go back to sleep, go chill, go somewhere, chill.
Melatonin, go to sleep. That was funny.
Oh, I didn't even. Melatonin, go somewhere. It's time for, it's time for metabolism start going. It's time to get up. It's the morning time. We out are out and about and things like that. Whereas at night, once the sun goes down, your body registers that and your melatonin levels rise. And that's what actually makes you sleepy. So that's why, really we are like, when you think about like nocturnal creatures and things like that, whatever the opposite of nocturnal is, that's why we are the way we are. We're usually up at night. That's why, like, if you do like shift work, it can be really hard because your body literally is like this
fighting its nature.
Exactly. Everything in your body is saying it's time to sleep, but you got to do whatever you got to do. So yeah, that's one example.
Right. And even because I feel like sometimes we think we're night owls, right? Like, oh, I'm a nocturnal animal. No, we're all human.
Yeah.
So I feel like we all probably have this. We should have naturally the same circadian rhythm. We should have naturally the same melatonin levels. So don't fool yourself, right? I've been in that boat before. Like, oh, I get the best work done from 11 to 2 a.m. It's not true. I tried it the other night, putting this new desk that I just got together. It took me like 2 hours to put this desk together at midnight.
Yeah, I feel like your productivity levels just go.
Right. Your focus, your dexterity, even like hand-eye coordination is not as good. Just go to sleep.
Try to scratch your nose and.
No, don't. I'm not that bad. I don't know about that. Scratch my nose going over here. But hopping back into it. All right. So melatonin, sleep. Yep. Right. So sun goes down, melatonin increases to put you to sleep. Sun comes up, melatonin goes to sleep to wake you up. Hope you remember that.
That works. Another one, go to my handy dandy list here.
Please.
Another one is cortisol, which we've also talked about on the podcast before. So that's known as kind of the stress hormone overall. That's how you usually will hear about cortisol. And so that's basically when your body registers or interprets. I always like to say interprets because it's not always necessarily a life or death situation, but you interpret, your brain interprets it as stress, and that's when your body releases cortisol, and that sends a whole lot of messages throughout your body. We've talked about that before, especially if there's different levels of stress, but if you're talking about an acute stress, that means really short and like a burst of energy, almost like that's like the more instinctual, like if you were being chased by a predator or something. These are
like if you wake up and you didn't wake up to your alarm and you think you're late. It's the worst.
Oh my god. Yeah, that cortisol is like shoot.
That's the worst.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that happen. Your heartbeat, your heart rate increases, your blood your blood pressure increases, you start to sweat. There's just a lot of things. It's like that adrenaline. We've all kind of heard of adrenaline as well. So yeah, that's it's your fight or flight response. That's one of the things that cortisol controls. It also just controls your metabolism, your immune system. These are all things that cortisol influences. Another one, I like to mention ones we've already kind of mentioned in the podcast. So if you want more information, you go to
come on back.
Insulin. We talked about insulin in our diabetes episode. We talked about insulin in our fasting episodes. Basically, insulin is a hormone, and insulin's job is to take the glucose in your blood and deliver it to your cells. So whenever you eat carbohydrates, your body, and that it doesn't matter what the source of carbohydrates is. It can be from a piece of bread or it can be from an apple. Regardless, your body breaks that down into glucose. Now, that doesn't mean that they're equal at all, but that just means in this example, for insulin's purpose, glucose is glucose. So it breaks it down into glucose, releases it into your blood, and that signals insulin to say, hey, insulin, it's time, come and do your job, pick up all this glucose and bring it to the cells. And once it does that, it can either you bring it to the cells for immediate use, and that's more for a short-term energy, or bring it to the cells to store as fat. And that's basically saved for later. That's what your body uses that's what your body uses for energy when it doesn't think that there's going to be food coming in anytime soon.
Fasting, I know this is maybe a curveball. How does fasting affect that specifically?
Fasting affects that by putting you in that state when your body doesn't think that there's another meal coming.
So and then it eats.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm out of immediate fuel, right? So you're still doing things, right? Even if you're just awake laying in bed, your body is still doing things, your organs are still doing things. So you're gonna need energy. So that's when it starts to eat away at your built-in fat.
Nice. Okay, I see off the top.
Every time you ask me these questions, I'm like,
oh, and then I know there's at least one more hormone on the list that we can talk about. And the reason why I think this one's important because it has to do with fertility.
It does.
It has to do with how we can multiply, be fruitful, have more amazing babies and people out there. So I found this one important. So Go ahead, Queen. Let us know what it is.
This is one, and I'm surprised that I had never heard of this before. And you would think that we would know about this since it's kind of like it's the pregnancy hormone. So this is progesterone. And this is basically, as I mentioned, so I don't know if we want to go into this now, but since we can. Progesterone is basically the hormone that helps women get pregnant, not only get pregnant, but stay pregnant, if that makes sense. Okay, so there is a delicate hormone balance that needs to happen once when a menstruating woman, once she releases her egg, you go into the luteal phase. And if we could show the image of the different phases, it can basically visualize that once your body releases the egg, you go into what's called the luteal phase. And during that time, your estrogen levels should be lower than your progesterone levels. And that is the balance that needs to happen in order for you to get pregnant. And actually, when I was reading up on why this balance is important for women to get pregnant, it was saying like one of the things that you can do to even help your chances is try to do things. Don't ask me what things, but try to do things to lengthen. Yeah, try to do things to lengthen that luteal phase because it allows for more time for the egg to be fertilized.
questions class. Yeah, we can show the graphic of like the chart and whatnot. I found it interesting that intuitively you would think that maybe the middle of the menstruation cycle, the period cycle, would be the best time to get pregnant, but it's really like the last 7 days, last 5 days or so. It's
like the last half, the last like 3/4 to half. But basically right after the mid-cycle is when you go into that luteal phase, and that's when your estrogen levels are actually they shouldn't be the highest. And if they are, that's normally what's happening when people have what's called estrogen dominance, and that can cause issues with fertility. That can make it harder to get pregnant when your hormones are not in balance.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. So hopefully we'll be able to show that soon, but really quickly before we go into the next section, estrogen versus testosterone. Are you ready to talk about the differences between the two? Because I find it's interesting that we both, like men and women, both have both hormones, but at different levels, and they affect different things.
Yeah.
So are you ready, Professor?
Yeah, and this is I'm still learning about kind of the difference here, but really one of the important differences between estrogen and testosterone is that those control the sexual characteristics of folks. So when you think about,
does it though? Because it controls hair too. Is that deemed sexual?
Okay.
My bad, Professor. Do your thing. My bad. Do your thing.
Sexual, and I don't even know what to call them, like societal, like
things like the gender norms on appearance.
Yeah. So all of those kind of together.
Gotcha.
But it also had like things like breasts.
The phenotypical gender expression.
There you go.
Right when you have a nerd moment.
Right.
Let's go.
Nerd out.
To the people that are just listening, there's a lot of excitement going on. Definitely tune in to the Truvel Forever on YouTube so you can see the excitement, but hopefully you're able to feel that energy. I was very excited. All right, Queen, go ahead, get back to it.
But yeah, so things like if you have more estrogen in your body, you're more likely to hold on to fat. More estrogen usually lends itself to more fat on the body, usually lends itself to breasts, whether men or women.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
Go to the handy dandy list.
Muscle mass. Muscle mass is so testosterone is very good at building. It's like a building hormone. So like an anabolic. So it's building. So it helps you build muscle. Again, male, female, doesn't really matter. Testosterone helps you build muscle. So that's why it's typically easier for men to hold on to that muscle, to build the muscle, than it is for women. That don't mean we can't do it.
Nope.
It just means it may be a little hard.
Listen, I've seen some buff women hitting it. And so are there things, is it a I'm gonna raise my testosterone and lower my estrogen? Like, do they always have to be kind of a swing, or can you raise both, lower both?
Yeah, you're getting into those two hormones don't have to necessarily be like always in balance.
Like if there's 100%,
they're not. It's not like that from my understanding. Again, I'm still getting into my early phase of research of hormones, but I think especially for women, it's more the estrogen and progesterone hormones that you want to be, that balance and that ratio that you want to be watching.
Gotcha. Okay, so in the next segment, if we're able to still show that, I like the graphic, so I want to be able to show that graphic if we can. But in the next section, we're about to get into kind of negative things that have a negative impact on your hormones, right? We just said everything's in balance. Your hormones are really controlling what your body is doing. So it's up to us, right, to kind of take control over that. If we know what we do impacts our hormones, and what our hormones are doing impacts our body, our vessel, our castle, then I think it's up to us to make sure that we are doing the right things to impact our hormones. So switching over a little bit, Queen, talk about just a few things that have a negative impact on our balances.
Okay, we do have another graphic for this, you know what I'm saying? But really the top three, I won't say like top, but three of the main things that can affect your hormone balance. And one, I think the big one that I think we all we kind of underestimate is stress.
Facts.
So stress, not only does that affect, the whole body. Ooh, look at that. Ooh.
There we go. We got the three things that cause hormone imbalance.
So number one, stress. Not only are, I think, was it 50% of doctors' visits for, illnesses and things like that are stress related. So stress has a very, very big impact on not only our health, but our hormones and everything. So again, as I mentioned the stress hormone, cortisol, right? That's just one of the hormones that are kind of released when stress is registered by the body. But if you're in a chronic state of stress, your body actually does a lot of different things to regulate that. But something that happens, or something that can happen, is that you have a lot of cortisol released, right? But over time, if that stress is not going anywhere, right, your body is meant to release that cortisol, get you into that fight or flight mode so that you can come down from it. You are meant to come down from that. That's what the power of the fight or flight mode is.
I'm confused on when you say get rid of it. You said get rid of the cortisol, like, so being stressed is a good thing in the sense that your body is excreting the cortisol. Is that what you meant?
No.
Okay, maybe rewind. Say one more time so I can take my good scholar notes. I want to understand this because I'd be stressing sometimes. So I want to understand.
I don't even know what I said. Get rid of it too. But long story short, when you are in a stressful situation, right, your body releases the cortisol. But you are meant to by get rid of it. I mean, it actually releases another hormone
to fight the cortisol.
To fight the cortisol, but they do have like a type of balance. To where your body is either releasing cortisol or it's releasing DHEA, and DHEA is the relaxing hormone. That's what your body releases when it's saying it's time to calm down. We're good. We're safe. We can stop running. We can, whatever. We can chill now. Yeah. But if your body never registers that you are no longer in a stressful position, then a lot of those things, the characteristics that I mentioned before, your heart beating faster, your blood pressure being higher, that's happening all the time. and that can be taxing on the body,
Mm.
and your body can start to lose its ability to release cortisol.
Gotcha.
And so there are some, that's actually one of the things I'm learning right now in the health coach
Wait,
certification.
hold on. Brag about yourself one more time. What you doing right now, Queen? Go ahead.
Getting my health coach certification. And so one of the cool things about the program that I'm going through is that rather than, relying solely on just a consultation, I'll actually be able to run labs on, my clients to be able to say, this is exactly what's happening in your body. So it'll allow for a highly individualized approach. Yeah. So one of the first things that you do is test for cortisol levels, because that is there's different phases of kind of stress. Mm-hmm. Different phases. Hey. So you want to test the cortisol levels to see where they are on that phase. Gotcha. Because generally you have like the first phase, which is the healthy phase. Your hormones are doing what they're supposed to do, and then you have what they call the compensatory phase, and that's basically when your body is trying to compensate for the stress that it is undergoing. Then you have the phase where your body is further trying to compensate for the cortisol, or not necessarily the cortisol, but for the stress that your body is undergoing. Mm-hmm. And then it finally has the like exhaustion phase. Gotcha. So
it seems to me, mm-hmm. and you're falling into your rabbit hole as you do as the health nerd. It seems like we need to do a whole episode on stress and DHA. Because I've heard of DHA, maybe I'm misremembering, but as like the God hormone, and like it gets you naturally, quote unquote, high. It releases you, and it gives you a higher sensation. Mm-hmm. And there's like certain like breathing techniques that you're supposed to do to initiate the release of DHA to feel that.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
As I think the breathing techniques that you do to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, like the abdominal breathing, I imagine releases the DHA, because that's what you do to put yourself in that mode of like,
it's the ultimate zen. But stress is a big one. We're all dealing with that. Number 2 though, is what else is kind of imbalancing our hormones?
Number 2 on the list of things that can cause hormone imbalance is poor diet. And the reason why poor diet is such a big thing is because poor diet leads to malnutrition. And I feel like when we say the word malnutrition, sometimes societally we think of like starving children in third world countries.
Right, all the way on our side.
Right. But most people in America are malnutrition.
Wow. Malnutrited.
No. What is the word?
Malnourished.
Thank you. We have college degrees, I promise. Neither of them are in English. But yeah, most of America is malnourished. And that is because we have an excess of calories coming in, but a lack of actual nutrients that your body needs. Mm. So a lot of people are just consuming empty calories. Your white breads, your French fries, your your soda, your alcohol, all of those things, they taste good. They may give you a temporary feeling of satisfaction or dopamine or, all of that.
Definitely the dopamine.
Yeah. But they're not actually providing your body with the nutrients that it needs to do its job. Mm. So if you do that, your body goes into a state of, malnourishment. It doesn't know what to do. And so if you're thinking about what we talked about earlier, when your body takes the glucose, brings it to the cells, even though you're consuming calories, if it doesn't think that, I have some nutrients that I can actually use, it's going to store it as fat.
That's interesting.
Right? Even though you may be eating all day, but if you're eating things that aren't actually nourishing your body, it's going to hold on to the glucose and store it as fat more likely than not, because again, it's not getting what it needs. It's just getting energy. It's just getting calories.
You can't trick nature.
You can't. It's very smart. Our bodies are very smart.
You can't trick nature.
Yeah.
Something else that I found interesting in kind of the poor diet, and maybe not even poor diet, but eating meat. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I learned this from someone in the Muslim community, but they were saying how when an animal is fearful, it releases certain hormones. Just like when humans are feared or afraid, we release certain hormones. And then once you kill that animal, and then we're eating that animal, the meat still has those scared hormones in it, the fearful hormones, the anything else that may have been impacting that animal, and then we're now ingesting that into our own body, and it's affecting our own hormones as well. So that's one thing. Second, I believe, and Queen, we can do further research on this, but I believe like the more that you're eating fast food as a young child, the faster you may start puberty. Because again, it's impacting your hormones. The beef that you're eating is specifically for women, I believe, is increasing the estrogen in their body, and that's making you, become a quote unquote woman or have your puberty earlier in your life. Which I don't know if it's a good thing, don't know if it's a bad thing, but it's not necessarily 100% natural. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think to your point on the meat is, didn't we see a commercial or something in it, or a product or something, and it said something like, oh, hormones are not allowed in meat except for beef, and it was a beef product.
Yes.
But unfortunately, and I know that it may be more of a recent thing that has become not okay, but there was a very long time where chickens, cows, I mean, cows are probably still fed hormones, and so anything that is injected with hormones, you eating that, you taking in those hormones too. And that's another thing that's causing imbalance, is just you're absorbing all of these hormones that aren't meant for you, and that so it's
I watched the documentary, and I feel like watching these food documentaries are like, they're very educational, but it's like it's hard to look at food the same after some of these. But there's one documentary, and it was about chickens, and they were injecting the hormones into the chickens to make them nice, big, juicy, all things that I definitely appreciate. But watching them, it was like the chickens, like they would get so big to where their legs would break, because like their body, they don't have the muscle to be able to naturally hold up themselves up, and then the chickens were just suffering. It made me feel bad for some chickens for like a year and a half, 2 years. It was sad stuff. Long story short, take care of yourselves. All right, so we got stress. Manage your stress, and we'll talk about some ways you can manage stress in a second. We got poor diet, making sure that you are taking into consideration the nutrients that are coming into your body. And then lastly, number 3, Professor Health Nerd, hit us with it.
Number 3 is medication. And so there are, one of the first things that comes to mind when I thought about this is birth control. So it's literally right. It's actually, its purpose is to affect your hormones so much. When I mentioned earlier, right, the whole phases, right, that your hormones need to be in a certain ratio and a certain balance for you to get pregnant. So the purpose of the birth control is to make sure that balance is not happening. But
so if we can show that balance one when we get a chance, we can get a little zoom in on the example of birth control. That's interesting. One more time.
So if you're going through your menstrual cycle, after ovulation, the egg is released, you go into the luteal phase. You want, and I believe it's like a 30-1 ratio of progesterone. There we go. So again, after the ovulation, when you're in like the 3-4, you see the green line, that's progesterone. And then you have the purple line, which is estrogen. So notice at the beginning, or at the mid cycle, the ovulation, you see the estrogen is the highest of all of the hormones, right? But then right immediately after that, right, when you're looking at the luteal phase, where you have to see the number 4, progesterone is the highest, and estrogen is not the lowest, but it's midpoint, between, and then testosterone is almost, nothing. So that ratio needs to be happening, in order for certain things to be occur in the body. If that ratio is off, the likelihood, it's not impossible, but the likelihood that a woman is going to get pregnant is very low. So progesterone. So I don't know specifically what birth control does, but I'm pretty sure that there are different ones that have different hormones, but if you're taking in more estrogen, it's probably making it so that your estrogen levels are higher than the progesterone, so that again that won't occur. The pregnancy won't occur. The problem is, not only are you messing with your natural hormones with artificial hormones, it just really throws your body all out of whack. And if you take it for as long as some of us take it,
Right.
I took
10,
birth control from 18 until a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you're taking that chronically for years and years, it's going to take a very long time for your body to be able to switch back to do what it needs to do naturally. So that's why some women, it takes years for them after they, you know, stop taking birth control to actually be able to get pregnant. So, you know, there are a lot of apps now that basically you can chart based on where you are in your time of month. You can chart your different hormone levels and how likely it is for you to be pregnant. So you can know whether that's even a good time for, you know,
make the magic happen.
Exactly.
We're trying to multiply.
Yeah.
No, we're not. For those,
No,
we're not right now. But
No.
someday, 5 of them. Give it to me.
But yeah, so that's why. And then there are also just like side effects from other medications that can also mess with your hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, once your hormones are in imbalance, it's, you know, they, again, for a lot of folks are estrogen dominant, which means, again, men, women, doesn't matter. Both can be estrogen dominant. And that can cause its own issues, where if you're trying to lose weight and you're estrogen dominant, it's going to be very hard. So, you know, a lot of us, when we think about the paradigm of weight loss, we're always thinking calories. Weight loss, you have to be in a calorie deficit. You have to just expend more calories than you take in. That's not always the case. That doesn't work for everybody. And, you know, it even if it does, it may work for a short amount of time. But at the end of the day, if you're estrogen dominant, the minute you stop that calorie deficit, right, you're not going to stay. You're still estrogen dominant, so you're going to gain that weight back. So it's a delicate balance. We gotta pay more attention to the hormones. We don't talk about those enough. Right. And I feel like there is a lot of push for, you know, artificial hormones, when we can be doing a lot of things to get our hormones in balance naturally.
It's a beautiful segue, Queen. I see you. You should host a podcast. All right.
Thanks.
So next segment, I want you to talk a little bit about things that folks can do specifically to get their hormones in line. Not sure if you have specific examples on, like, if you want to increase estrogen, do this. If you want to increase testosterone, do this. Maybe that's another episode. But just maybe general things that folks can do in order to just get some balance.
Yes. So I have 3 things. First, as I mentioned, right, poor diet if that's can cause it. That can also be the solution. Not the poor diet, but a good diet can be the solution, right? So that's probably the number one thing that you can do to try to get your hormones back in balance. Because again, once you're feeding your body the nutrients that it needs, that triggers a whole bunch of things. It's not necessarily an A to B type of thing where, oh, you eat broccoli and now your testosterone is gonna, like, it's not always like that. But you know, you eat more fruits and vegetables, your body gets the nutrients it needs. It can actually start to do what it needs. Oh, what's that? That's the vitamin C that I need. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna signal my body to do this to the immune system and fight. You know, it's a whole bunch of it.
I feel like the cells in your body dance.
Oh yeah.
I feel vitamin C. I'm gonna do this. Like, yeah, your cells are dancing for sure, for sure. Oh, but to highlight that point, I feel like when we did the Daniel fast back in January, y'all, the amount of energy that I had was ridiculous. And I'm talking about, like, energy to work out, energy to just talk and, hey, let's talk. Let's do it. And then also just, you know, grown people energy as well. All energy was up.
Yes, it was.
Sorry, Queen.
It's up and up and up and up.
All right, so bring it back. So definitely, I think eating and for prolonged periods of time, like, it shouldn't just be let me do it for a day, eat this broccoli and expect some results. No, like, do it for a week, do a cleanse, do a fast type thing, and really see how your body feels after that fast.
Yeah.
All right. Number two,
exercise. So again, it's not always going to be a direct correlation, but your body expects movement on a daily basis. Our bodies are meant to move. The sedentary lifestyle we live in right now, our bodies weren't built for this. This was not what it was made for. So you got to get up, you got to move. This doesn't mean you need to run 5 miles a day. This means if you do 25 to 30 minutes of low impact to high impact, really pick your poison. You can switch it up, you know, throughout the week. Even just walking, you know, is better than sitting on the couch all day or sitting in front of the computer all day. Even, some of our jobs demand that we, sit or be behind a computer. But there are a lot of little hacks you can do real quick. Before, I was lucky enough to get my standing desk with a little treadmill right now. But before, what I would do when I would be tired of sitting and I wanted to stand, I literally just found a cardboard box. I went around the office and I was like,
and put your laptop on?
Yep. I was like, you using that? Nope. Cool. Cardboard box. I put my keyboard on there, and then I have a monitor that was big enough to where I didn't need to move that. But yeah, I was just, you can make it work. You can make it work. But yeah, exercise is a good one. That just gets your body again in the mode of doing what it's supposed to be doing, what it expects to be doing. There are a whole lot of things that can happen once you do that. But also, like, there are things where, like, if you are a person who has more muscle, that itself, this is the part where I really want to do some more research so I can talk more about this on a future episode.
Gotcha.
But that itself helps keep your levels in check. If you have more muscle, you are more likely to hold on to your testosterone rather than losing your levels as you get older. Which is what happens to a lot of men. Their testosterone levels start to drop when they get older. If you have more muscle, if you're keeping your regimen up throughout your life, you're more likely to hold on to that.
So is it and I know you say you got to do research, but
that's just an example.
Is it the muscle or is it the workout that keeps the testosterone up? Or it could be both.
Could be both.
Interesting.
I'll let you know further in a future episode.
Let's do it.
Cool.
And I feel like we talked about this before, but for me, people who I see who are working out on a habitual basis, like they work out once a day, once a week, they're playing tennis, basketball, dancing, whatever it is on a consistent basis, usually are happy.
Usually.
Like when we were in Oceanside and in the morning, I would go out and do my walks, see people, everyone's like, hey, how are you? How you doing? Morning. And I don't see too many people who live an active lifestyle who are like, hey, how you doing? My name's Eeyore. Like I don't see Eeyore. It, right? But number 3, hit us with it.
Number 3. So I mentioned probably the number one reason or a thing that can cause your hormone imbalance is stress. So again, you rewind that or reverse that, whatever you want to do.
Reverse engineer. Yeah.
Stress management is going to be one of the key things to keep your hormones in balance. Because again, you want to put your body in the proper state to do its thing, do what it needs to do. So stress management is also good to just keep your cortisol levels in check, right? You want those to be, breathe. You want those to be level. You want those to be not high all the time. Cortisol is important. I feel like sometimes we put a bad light on cortisol because it is the stress hormone.
Why is it important?
Because I mentioned it does a lot of things. Your fight or flight response is extremely important, but also immune system, metabolism, like it helps with all of those things. And so you need cortisol. You don't low cortisol levels are not good. That's usually what happens to people once they get the exhaustion phase. You need your cortisol, otherwise you like your energy levels will just be dead.
Yes.
So you need cortisol, but you don't want excess cortisol in your body. So you want to keep those in check. So you do that by really whatever gets you in that relaxed state. So we like meditation. You can do yoga, breathing, walking if that's it for you. If swimming is it for you, if dancing is it for you, literally whatever makes you kind of forget about all of the things that you stress about, in a daily basis. That's what you want to do. Knit, crochet, whatever, pick your poison, a puzzle, chess, sewing.
Another one.
Lacrosse, fencing.
Another one.
Bowling.
Another one.
Oh, Lord.
As y'all can see, y'all got plenty of options. And literally, like the breathing that I just did for like the 10 seconds, it calmed me.
It makes such a difference. It really does.
It's crazy.
I don't know. I sometimes I wonder how much of it is placebo, but I'm just like,
I'll take
after some good breaths, I feel really good.
Love it. Thanks, Queen, for breaking it down. Appreciate y'all. So a little bit of an overview, right, before we let y'all get out of here, and before we do maybe a little weekly check-in, so we know how we're also feeling. But overview, what are hormones? Quick.
Hormones are the chemical messengers in your body that tell it what to do.
Nice. What are 3 hormones that we should know and maybe do our own further independent research on after this?
Melatonin, cortisol,
You can say all of them if you want. I was trying to
insulin,
make
and progesterone.
There we go. Things that can negatively impact our hormone balances.
Medication,
Mhm.
stress, poor diet.
There it is. And then things that you suggest folks do in order to get that balance back, to gain control over their hormones and all their signals in the body.
Eat a whole foods, nutrient-rich diet. Stress management. Release some of that stress, manage it. And then exercise. Get into movement each day, even if it's just walking.
There it is. So hopefully that was nice and digestible for y'all. Gave you some good action items, things that you can avoid, things that y'all can do. Definitely feel free to leave comments below, whether you're watching this on YouTube, you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts. Been showing us love.
Yes.
67% of our listeners are from Apple Podcasts. So if
Yes,
you're on Apple
Apple.
Podcasts right now, first of all, leave us a review. We appreciate it. You can give an honest answer. We're not going to be those podcast folks that are like, give us 5 stars. Like,
Or else.
All right. What are we going to do? Give us your honest answer. We love seeing the reviews, love seeing the feedback. And as y'all can see, we do make changes based on what the data is telling us, what our folks are telling us. So yeah, leave a review, leave a comment. We appreciate you. Now, before we get out of here, Queen, how are you? How was your week? What's going on? Yes, you are hot all the time, beautiful melanated queen. But how's your week?
My week was pretty good. Like it was not too stressful, but a little stressful.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like anything. I don't think nothing like big or terrible happened, good or bad necessarily. But yeah, I feel like I'm starting to get antsy for our real estate property.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Me too, Queen. Me too.
But aside from that, just chugging right along.
Okay.
You?
Week was okay. Had some family passed away this week, so R.I.P. to my cousin, R.I.P. to my great uncle. Maybe just one great. Just one great. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was Grandy's uncle. So I think it's 2 greats. Yeah. So R.I.P. to my family. I was a little stressed this week. I feel like when I want the masterpiece edition to be here already. I want the samples to be here. I want everyone to be able to play it. So every week that goes by that the games aren't in my hand or in the customer's hand, I'm like, I'm stressed. But I'm starting to deal with that a little bit better. We did an amazing interview this morning with Zoe and with Drew out in Cambridge, England. Zoe in Orlando, Florida. These are Cambridge. Fun fact before we let y'all get out of here. For like the first 3 months, right? We were at UC Davis. We talked only in an English accent. It was
3 months, yeah.
About 3 months, a quarter, a strong quarter. Yeah. And everyone believed it. I said I was from Bedford.
I was from Cambridge, actually.
Literally from
I was
Cambridge.
Drew's neighbor.
So that was fun to kind of dive back into that reality, go in the memory lane a little bit, but then get to know the artist. Not this is a good thing or a bad thing, but there were some tears that happened in the interview, which I think it
was a good moment. It was cute.
It was a beautiful moment. It is the day before Mother's Day, and it was the mother that was doing some tears. So it was like, wow, that's powerful. Yeah. And it's like I appreciated being able to be a part of that moment. So it was nice stuff. Right. So long story short, Masterpiece Edition is available. Go to playbackwallstreet.com, pre-order your game today, and y'all know I'm stressing about getting the game to you as soon as possible, so you can trust if you put in your pre-order, the game will be in your hands. All right. Queen, anything else you want to talk to, highlight, nuggets before we let folks get out of here?
Really just the last thing, if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, that's all great. What if I want to know what my hormone levels are? Those are tests that you can get done. You can get done, through your doctor's office. But there are also a lot of labs these days that you can get. There are a lot of places that are doing at home lab tests and lab kits and things like that. So absolutely, do your own research, find one that works for you. If you actually want to know kind of where you're starting, what's your baseline, where are your cortisol levels, your estrogen levels, your testosterone, you can get kind of lab tests done for all of that, even just from saliva. So it's pretty non-invasive. So that's a good step you can take too if you're curious.
Boom. There you go. And one more thing. Sorry. Of course, we cannot let y'all get out of here without saying a happy Mother's Day. It's all the mother listeners out there. We appreciate what y'all do for your families, for the world. Mother's the superheroes. The original superhero is the mother. All right. So there it is. All right. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Yes. Happy Mother's Day. Well done. Appreciate y'all tuning in to another impactful and amazing episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health.
That's so hard.
That was a good one. No. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
And I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.
True.